When a $1 dream becomes a life or death obsession, you start paying attention. I've stood behind the counter on 8 Mile watching hope get fed into a machine $1 at a time. Not vacation money, not extra cash, but rent money, light bill money, gas money, lunch money. And this isn't about shaming anyone, and it's not about attacking the state. It's about the math in human behavior and what actually happens to a neighborhood when millions of tiny dollars leak out every single day like a slow puncture in a tire. Because you never hear the air leave, you just wake up riding on the rims. So let's break it down. In Michigan, people spend nearly $5 billion on lottery tickets every year, and that's roughly $500 a person, whether they're playing or not. Okay, and that's not small money. That's circulating capital leaving communities. And here's the anatomy of every single dollar spent. 63 cents goes back to the players as prizes. 25 cents goes to the Michigan School Fund. 9 cents goes to retail commissions. And 3 cents covers lottery operations. Now, the education contribution sounds good and it does help, but out of billions spent statewide, that contribution is only a 5 or 6% portion of Michigan's total education budget. And this means that when you buy tickets thinking that you're helping kids, the reality is more complex. The dollars still mostly vanish from local neighborhoods, not into local schools. Now picture this. If a block spends $50,000 a week in lottery tickets, that's community money, real capital, dollars that could hire somebody, start a food truck, fix a storefront, upgrade equipment. But instead it flows outward, back to a centralized system. Neighborhood money becomes someone else's spreadsheet. A community without circulating capital slowly suffocates. The lights stay on, cars still move, liquor stores still glow at night, but economically it's oxygen starved. And that's just like what happened in Detroit when all the factories left. Okay, now lottery doesn't just take people's money though, it rewires their behavior. It trains brains to chase random reward, instant spikes, external rescue, fantasy instead of agency. And you see the ritual, the same people, the same numbers, the same superstitions, the same heartbreak loops. The nervous system gets conditioned like a lab rat, pressing a lever for pellets. Multiply that across thousands of people on the same streets, and you get a neighborhood wired for waiting instead of building. Not lazy, but conditioned. And a dopamine economy produces fragile humans. Just look around. It's not just Detroit. Now everybody thinks the corner store is getting rich off the lottery. Let's look at that actual money again. A customer buys $100 in lottery, $160 in liquor, and after the sales tax, the store keeps about $30, and the state takes the rest. The store handles the cash risks, security, staffing, stress, robberies, fake tickets, late nights, high volume, tiny margins, no leverage, no ownership. The store becomes a cash conveyor belt, working hard and staying broke, just like the customers. And that's not commerce, that's circulation theater. Now, every dollar spent on lottery is a dollar that can't go into a tool or a laptop or a course or a pressure washer or a vending machine or a side hustle or skill upgrade. That opportunity cost is real. Even if 10% of lottery spending stayed local and got pulled into productive assets, neighborhoods would quietly regenerate within a few years. Instead, most of that cash evaporates into probability fog. Hope becomes a tax instead of fuel. And it's not just money. It's emotional load, chasing losses, arguing over numbers, people having mood swings, desperation near payday, quiet shame. And that stress bleeds into families, relationships, jobs, and even violence. Believe it or not, I've seen people that have lost their lives in Detroit over a lottery ticket. The lottery becomes an invisible emotional landlord collecting rent from trained nervous systems. Now here's the deepest damage. Lottery teaches that salvation comes from outside of you, that miracles will beat your inner mastery, that waiting beats building, and that chance beats discipline. And when a neighborhood absorbs that mindset long enough, it forgets about its own creative power. And that's how cities decay long before the buildings ever fall. And we have to talk about odds, because in games like Powerball or Mega Millions, the odds of even modest prizes are astronomical. And even if a winning ticket is sold in the Detroit area, and that makes the news, the chances of that are a statistical blip, not a pattern. And when that rare ticket is sold here, it doesn't mean the community wins, because the vast majority of lottery spending, it's long gone. So the lottery doesn't take just money. It takes momentum. It takes belief in self, local capital flows, long-term thinking, nervous system stability, and trades all of it for tiny emotional fireworks, pretty lights, and empty pockets. So if you live in a neighborhood like mine, this matters. Not because anyone's evil and not because anyone's dumb, but just because systems shape behavior. And if you want a different future, you have to stop feeding the systems that quietly eat your present. So in the next episode, we're going to break down who really gets paid and how that system is engineered to extract value, not build communities. This is JD. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate you. Peace.